Hi, everybody. This is our activity for the Magic Flask. That's a misleading name. There's really nothing magic about it. And it's really an extension of our last activity of when is something something. We found out in our last activity that if we can find a mass change, there clearly has to be something there. And just the presence of mass means it's got to be something. Well, here's another way to tell if something's something that doesn't require a scale. And we're going to see this through a very simple setup of our Erlenmeyer flask with our funnel in this. And if I pour some water in the funnel, it does exactly what you think it's going to do. That water travels through the funnel and into our flask. So I'm going to go ahead and take the water and pour it back in my beaker over here. And now we're going to do it with a second funnel, but the second funnel's had a modification to it. And the modification is we've put clay around it to try and make a nice airtight seal around this funnel. And the clay is not in any way hindering the funnel. You can see I can poke this paper clip that I've straightened out through there, but it certainly changes the behavior of the water in this. So now when I fill up the water, you probably saw a couple of drops went in, which they did, and those actually alter the pressure of the air that's in there, and we'll do a whole unit on pressure later, but all this water up here now can't go in there. And the reason it can't go in there is because there's already something there, which is the air. We know air is something because we found the mass, but even if we hadn't found the mass, the fact that that won't go into here tells us that this volume here is being taken up. And even though we can't measure the mass of the water or the mass of the air here, we can definitely measure its volume. This is a 125 milliliter Erlenmeyer flask up to about here. My guess is it probably actually holds somewhere around about 160 milliliters if you take all this space up in here. But the important thing is we could actually measure that volume, and since nothing else will go in that volume, then we know it's got to be something. Now, kind of a fun thing to do with this as well is let's now give this air a little way to escape, and I'm going to do that by poking a hole in our clay, a very small hole. Now, the minute that goes in, you can see the water pouring in, but the minute I cover it up, the water quits flowing in. I've now just made an on-off switch for my water. If I cover this up, that air can't get out. If that air can't get out, because it's something, that water can't get in. The minute I take my hand off it, I can just use my hand as like an on-off switch for that water. So again, this is just another idea of what makes something something. The first one we had was it had mass. This one showed that it also took up space. The definition for matter, I've always thought is a bit kind of goofy because the definition for matter is if you have mass and take up space. And the reason I think that's a goofy definition is if you have mass, you must take up space. Okay? So we found out it has mass, so we knew it must take up space. That's why two things couldn't fit here at once when we didn't give the air a way to escape. And that's it for the Magic Flask. Thanks for watching.